soon after it was completed last November. Less than 30 seconds.
You can see all the rotational platforms have already been withdrawn
and
from the vehicle.
Scientists there are really holding their breaths for the blast off. Now, 10 seconds countdown.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1，点火！
Ignition. Blast off.
6 engines, 6 YF-100 engines ignite at the same moment. 4 on the boosters with 1 engine each, and then 2 engines in the core stage. And at this moment, the first critical action will be the pitch over, which means that it change its direction. From going upward to the east, southeast direction.
So when can we expect this Tianzhou mission, the spacecraft, to be docked with our Tianzhou space station?
That depends on the plan, the mission of the mission failed. Usually, during the last Tianzhou mission, we make a world record about 2 more hours from the liftoff to the docking. Maybe several hours. It depends on the design of the mission itself. And at this moment, you can see the video from the camera mounted on the fuselage of the vehicle itself. And you can see the 2 boosters.
And it looks like a bit cloudy in that area, and this
not very heavy. You can still see the flame of the first stage.
It's gradually fading away from our side. It's getting farther away.
Yeah. And also, from the video cameras in the ground stations, we can monitor the trajectory of the vehicle itself. And also, we have readers to monitor the trajectory. And we also have the sensors on board the vehicle itself. Now you can see the video that, as I mentioned, the camera mounted in the fuselage of the vehicle, and you can see the 2 boosters and the flame of the rocket engines.
It gives us different angles and different perspectives to see this mission up close.
And the next critical step will be the separation of the 4 boosters. You can see that soon, about less than 10 minutes, less than 3 minutes.
Right. And this moment reminds us of the Tianzhou 5 mission, and that you mentioned to me just now, that it made records in being the fastest mission to be connected with the Tiangong.
Yeah. And you can see the flame has the shape of the flame has already changed because it's already almost in a vacuum condition.
Right,
because
isn't that amazing to see how the flames and how the color of it changes as they go up higher?
So it used kerosene and liquid oxygen as the propellant. You can see the flame is a little bit blue color.
Right. So again, what is on board this Tianzhou 6 mission? We mentioned there's going to be fuel, a lot of food. What are some of the other supplies?
As I mentioned, the scientific research instruments and also some backup parts for the life support system of our Tiangong space station, and also some parts maybe for the spacesuits. You know that for each time we conducted an EVA. Oh, you can see that the boosters are already separated.
Right, separation
Great.
space.
So the next step will be the separation of the first stage.
So the rocket boosters are now being released, and they've detached from the main body of the rocket.
Great. The first stage also separated.
Right.
Okay, you can see that the second stage has already ignited very normally.
Right. Well, this process is, of course, crucial in sending large vehicles into space and helping protect the payload.
And the next, as you mentioned, the next step will be the jettisoning of the payload fairing, because it is already out of the atmosphere. Oh, this is a camera inside the payload fairing.
Right.
You can see the great.
Now the fairing is separating.
Jettisoned.
And then there will come the first stage separation.
This is already, which means that the altitude is already high enough and do not have much aerodynamic forces acting on the body, so it do not need the payload fairing and to save the energy.
So the rocket itself has the power to push itself against the atmosphere. Is that correct?
It has the power, but the aerodynamic forces acting on the spaceship is already low enough because strong aerodynamic forces will damage the spaceship.
So as we watch very closely on this launch mission, the 3 taikonauts on board the Tiangong space station, they are also anticipating new supplies because we understand that this mission will resupply them with the final weeks of their mission on board the Tiangong space station.
Probably
they've been up there for some 5 months already.
Usually for any astronauts, either the ISS or China's Tiangong space station, the visiting of the cargo ship will be the happiest time for them because
Exactly.
fresh food arrived.
You've got parcel.
And also gifts from family members.
Oh, they have that on board
They do
as
have,
well?
exactly. And also, you know that probably our Shenzhou 15 crew are also watching the live coverage. Probably.
They have access to
Exactly.
our CGTN or some other
Actually speaking, the flight center.
flight center.
Yeah, you know that we have the Tianlian data relay satellite. It has very high speed and can transmitting the videos from the ground to the station. So they not only watching the live coverage of the rocket launch, but also you know that during the Winter Olympic Games and during the Olympic Games, they can also watch the all kinds of matches.
Sure. What are some of the preparations that they are making to welcome their new supplies and to welcome the Shenzhou 6 to dock with the Tiangong?
It's really complex. You see that for the docking, even the docking technology is already very practical, but still a very risky operation. So the attitude, the orbit of the Tiangong space station must in the right position. And moreover, you see that you know that the Tianzhou cargo ship needs several orbit maneuvers and all conducted automatically. So we must monitor its status, and finally we have the final approach must be well monitored by not only those on the ground, our ground staff, and also monitored by the Tiangong space station. We also have the sensors to measure the relative distance, the relative angle, and also relative attitude of each vehicle.
As we speak now, Professor, help us understand where this rocket is. What's the altitude at this moment?
This moment is flying above the Pacific Ocean. Actually speaking, maybe to the east of the Philippines, I believe. And at this moment, it's already, you know, that's several minutes already passed. It's already high enough, already much higher than 100 kilometers. So I believe it's already near to close its 2 fixed engines. You see there are 4 engines on the second stage. You can see 2 of them from the left screen, from the camera. And 2 fixed engines will be shut down first, and then the other 2 Valier engines.
Yeah. Well, if you've just joined us, this is our special coverage, live coverage of the launch of China's latest Tianzhou 6 mission. This is a cargo spacecraft. It will resupply astronauts with their fuel, food, and everyday necessities on board the Tiangong space station. And this is the first such mission to take place since China's Tiangong space station was completed last November.
As I mentioned, on the second stage, we have 4 rocket engines called YF-115. Each has a thrust about 18 tons, and the 2 of them on the opposite direction will be shut down first to decrease the thrust. And with a smaller thrust, the accuracy will increase. So that is the reason we use this operation. And then the 2 Valier engines will finally adjust its trajectory to make it accurate enough.
One highlight of this mission is the increased payload.
Yeah.
We mentioned there's a 20% increase, but where does that increase come from? For example, is the spacecraft itself larger than its predecessor, or how do you allocate space?
As Chen Ying has already mentioned, the total mass is still 13.5 tons, metric tons. So the total mass has not changed. The increase of the payload comes from the decrease of the platform itself. Because it's become more and more practical, we can remain less resources to the platform itself. So more resources will remain for the payload. So that is the reason why we can have this the highest ratio or the highest proportion of payload, effective payload among all cargo ships of human being.
Okay. What does this increased payload mean for China's future missions? For example, will that mean less frequency in the launch of cargo spacecraft?
Exactly. And also there are other options to have more scientific research experiments. So both are very possible, and also it can reduce the cost.
And of course, our taikonauts will be better off there when they carry out their missions.
Yeah, as you mentioned, maybe more fresh fruit.
There were some reports about the possibility of sending a big refrigerator up there to the Tianjin space station to make sure that our taikonauts there have,
Okay,
better
you can see that the fixed engines are already shut down.
Right.
Yeah. So next will be the shutdown of the Valier engines.
This is the first stage separation?
No. It's still the second stage.
Okay.
As I mentioned, there are 4 engines on board the second stage. 2 will be shut down. Already shut down the first 2 engines, and then the other 2 engines. Okay. The Valier engine also. So the next step will be separation. Great.
Separation.
You can see the video from the second stage, the separation of the cargo ship itself.
So now we can see the Long March 7Y7 rocket is detaching from the Tianzhou 6 capsule, and we've been hearing applause from the control center.
And from this video, you can see that the attitude control engines on the Tianzhou cargo ship is already working.